Welcome back to the channel, folks. It's been a couple weeks since we've done a video, and I want to apologize for that. It's been a rough last 9 or 10 days. Came down with a pretty bad flu that I can only equate to the time I got COVID back in early 2020 when it was first surfacing. I was down and out for over a week then, and this felt exactly like it. So turned out it was negative for COVID and just a very bad flu, but I was pretty much bedridden for a solid week and ate very little, and it was really hard to function. So I can only hope none of you have experienced what I went through this last week. It was less than pleasant. Prior to that, it had been a week or two since we've done a video, even before I got sick, so it's been a couple weeks, and not that I'm a high volume content creator by any stretch, but I do try to put out a video a week if possible. Sometimes there's really nothing exciting to show or share or talk about. A lot of what I might say is covered in many other people's videos, and the last thing I want to do is duplicate other people's efforts and talk about topics that are, frankly, talked about more than enough. So this video, I am happy to announce that I closed on a deal with a gentleman that emailed me a few weeks ago looking to sell some GSA Morgan dollars. And we came to an agreement. We met a couple days ago and we made the deal, and there were 10 of them. Most of these are certified by NGC, and some of these are quite rare, and most of them are quite nice. And since Carson City Morgan dollars are always a favorite amongst passionate numismatists, serious coin collectors, and casual collectors as well, and people that don't even collect coins, usually people have some idea of Carson City Mint and the legends and lore associated with such. So I figured we would take a quick look at these GSA Morgan dollars. They all came with their original packaging, which was nice, including a certificate of authenticity on top of being graded by NGC. I am trying to fit everything in the screen, but it's looking like this might not be the best angle. So I have to try to find another way to do this. We probably have to just look at a piece at a time. So I assume most people are familiar with these. The GSA, General Services Administration, upon finding thousands of treasury bags in United States vaults shortly after the coinage switch from silver to clad in 1964, discovered all these bags of Morgan dollars in various banks across the United States that had all these Morgan dollars, and they decided to sell them off through the GSA in the early 70s. And you can see 1972, the Richard Nixon administration. And they give you a little bit of a history and just a little bit of backstory behind it. And they all came in these. They also did this with the Eisenhower dollars, different program. Peace dollars and other coins as well have been sold off through the GSA. So here we have a lovely 1878 Carson City, the first year of the Morgan dollar, the first year of the Carson City Morgan dollar. Carson City Mint came into its inception a few years earlier than that in 1870. And gold coins, silver dollars, half dollars, dimes, quarters were all struck. So this one was graded 64 proof-like with a CAC sticker. I'm not one to chase the CAC sticker, but if it's there, and can't hurt. The PL quality, you know, I actually thought it was kind of borderline. upon looking at it closer. But NGC saw it that way. John Albanese and his crowd saw it that way. Who am I to argue? It is a lovely piece, and this was probably the only one that I couldn't find a comp when I was trying to come up with pricing for these GSAs. I looked at recently completed auctions and gray sheet and so forth. There were quite a few sold in 64, quite a few sold in 63 PL, but finding a 64 PL, I think I only found one, and I think it was a Heritage auction sale in 2022. And it was, I think, $2,200 or $2,300. So this was a very nice way to start, indeed. And you'll also notice and you probably all know this already, if you watch other channels, the CC on the 78cc Morgan Dollar, sorry for the longer fingernails, I've been sick, is the small, stubby, fat CC. Now, a couple of these coming up, I do believe the next one, I don't want to say I discovered, but I'm not a big VAM guy, but there were one or two that were VAM attributed, and there was one or two that I discovered should be a VAM. And some of these are common, so it's not that. Some of these are not, the VAMs I found are not rare. Now this particular, because this is an 1880, comes with a second COA. The 1880 group has many die varieties. The 80 in the figure 1880 often covers the 7.9 for 80 over 79, etc., etc., etc. Having this examined carefully, or perhaps having the coin inspected by a competent numismatist. I like it. I like it. You think that would, that's a great piece of advice that the mint gave to the potential buyer. And this is one where I identified it just yesterday as VAM3, which is the line under the second 8, which is a fragment of the 7. And probably won't show up well on the camera, but I'll give you a little point out if I can find something to point it with. But under the bottom of that second 8, there's a little dash. If you look right at 6 o'clock on the bottom of the 8, you can kind of see it right there, between the base of the 8 and the denticle. That's the bottom of a 7. So the VAM3, and there's also doubling, which I don't know if it's doubling as much as it's a 7, but there's some on the inner loop of the first 8, some shadowing around that 8 as well. So there's another die marker, I forget where it is, but all of them were in line with VAM3, and this one graded MS64. Just a lovely example. Nice, as we call blast white. Good luster. The typical marks you would see on a 64. Too much chatter on the cheek, in front of the cheek, can make the next grade. But the luster is solid, and the marks are small enough to warrant the 64 grade, and a nice full strike, and just a nice example overall. Oh, these boxes, man. All right, moving on to the next. We have the 82, 83, and I'm sorry, 81 is next. 81 is next. I think this is the Annex one, the only one graded by Annex. Another MS64. I didn't see a VAM on this one. Doesn't mean there isn't one. Just means I didn't see it. This one's actually got similar surface quality. Hold it at that angle, it looks crystal clear, clean. Tilt it just a little and look at all the chatter. But it's minor. You know, the magnification in the camera makes it look so much worse. Certainly a 64 in my opinion, whether it's NGC, PCGS, or Annex. You know, and having the original packaging with the COA just adds a little bit to the value of these. So this one is not rare, but not common. The 82, 83, and 84 are the common ones. And then the 80, 81, 85 are probably that next tier. 78 is probably in there. Then you get into the tough date ones. 18, 90, 91, 92, 79, and 89, and 93 being the toughest. Is the other COA for this 82cc. A nice 64. Pretty much blast white. Some of these will be available at samscoinsandheavymetal.com or on eBay under the same name, Sam's Coins and Heavy Metal, with an underscore in between each word, no apostrophe, Sam's. Those are my initials, by the way. I'm not Sam. I'm Scott. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who care. Some probably don't care, some don't know and don't care. All right, so we found another VAM here, another dash under the 8 in this, 1883. Another MS64. You can see this one has maybe a fraction less chatter, but not minimal enough to get to the 5, which I agree. Luster is good. You have to remember that mint state grading is 4 components. 30% contact marks, 30% luster, 30% strike, 10% eye appeal / toning. And toning, extremely nice, can add as much as a full point. Extremely not nice, deduction of a full point, anywhere from a half point to a full point. So when people look at coins and say, hey, there's hardly any contact marks, why is it graded 62 or 63? Well, it might have been dipped once too many times and is flat. The luster isn't really strong or original. The strike might not be full. You need a full strike to get to a 65. Everything else can be there. If you don't have a full strike, you're going to max out at 64. So it's not just about contact marks, which, you know, I listen to some people in other channels and they seem completely obsessed with the contact marks and the contact marks only. And I remember once, a couple of years ago, politely making the comment to an otherwise seasoned numismatist, coin dealer, does a lot of videos, doesn't matter who he is, but he's quite, I don't want to say pig-headed, but he's pretty much convinced that whatever comes out of his mouth is right. So that's fine. He's passionate. None of us know all the answers. Nobody. We're always learning. Myself more than anybody. But, you know, some people take it personally or look at it as a public shaming. It's really just information, and, you know, we're just trying to have a healthy debate. And, you know, I did it in a very polite way. Just a, hey, I don't think that's correct, or I'm pretty sure. You know, and I said it in such a way to like give them an out, if you will. Or, you know, maybe if you Google, or what if you go on PCGS.com, they actually spell it out for you. This one, you know, of all the 64s we've looked at, I think this is the one that's closest to the next grade. Maybe close to a 64 plus, but it's a solid 64. You know, I'm glad it's not a 5 because I think, again, there's just too much chatter on the neck, especially. I think that might be what held it back mostly because the cheek is pretty clean. You see some very widely, very light marks, but overall, you know, from an arm's length view, which is the most important, you know, they're not gathering up the 20x or 50x loop looking for microscopic deviations in the metal at this level. You know, all these coins were in mint bags, and all these coins were not handled with kid gloves when they came off the assembly line. So there's your common ones. We're going to move into some of the scarcer coins here, starting with this 85cc. And the 85cc is a very interesting one. It's the, upside down, it's the rarest Morgan dollar to find, the rarest Carson City Morgan dollar to find in circulated grades. I believe NGC is only graded 2 under AU 58, which is hard to believe. And PCGS maybe 3, but there's certainly less than 10 of these graded under mint state, which is mind-boggling, but it's true. Q. David Bowers, author of the Red Book, and Wolfboro, New Hampshire, auctioneer, Stacks and Bowers, Q. David Bowers, is a renowned expert on Morgan dollars and all silver dollars for that matter. Here's a 63 plus, speaking of plus. Similar amount of chatter, maybe just a tiny bit more. Pretty heavy gash there at the top of the neck and on the chin. Really fine lines between these grades, right? I mean, this could just as easily be a 4 after everything else we've looked at. But again, I'm not exactly sure how the meter works and where a 3 becomes a 4 or a 3 becomes a 3 plus. You know, not that there is a meter per se, but definitely a fine line. That reverse is pretty stellar. Pretty mark-free. I mean, there is some widely scattered up around the motto states of, very widely scattered, just a few. But overall, that's a pretty clean piece. As far as 85cc's goes, there's so many of them that are graded in the mint state grades that that's certainly a factor in terms of how they grade these. We come into some of the rarer pieces in this particular collection of CC dollars. We have this lovely 1890 CC MS62, which with a CAC sticker, by the way, which is pretty much a $5,000 coin. 51 something NGC price guide. The last 2 that sold at auction, both sold on eBay in the last month or 6 weeks. One sold for $5,300, 52 and change. One was a 99-cent auction sold by my friend Jim Dimmick. Only went for about $4,500. That's the risk of those. Great Collections has sold a few, and those have all hit $5,000. So I would say it's comfortably a $5,000 coin. Definitely one of the scarcer CCs, not only to find in mint state, but a GSA holder. 62 NGC. Okay, so that's that. And we got two more Carson City Morgans. One is GSA, the last one. We have a couple. We probably have a few more, but this one is toned, and it's already attributed as a VAM 3, which is the Spitting Eagle. 91cc Spitting Eagle, well known by Morgan Dollar enthusiasts. Too bad the lighting is crummy. It's dark out. Well, it's not dark out, but it's overcast. It's getting late in the day. And the toning is just not really showing as nice as it could. This yellow light. And I'm definitely not feeling like cracking out the light box. MS63, another $5,000 coin. 5,400 according to NGC price guide. Just a beautiful toned example. And that Spitting Eagle is a die mark in front of the eagle's mouth, which is not going to show up because of the toning, but there's a piece of metal, if you will, not a die cut, but just a dot in front of the eagle's mouth, which looks like he was spitting, hence the name. Maybe you can see it there, just under the beak. If I move, I'll lose that angle, so I can't really point it out, but it is hard to see with the toning and my crappy setup. So that's it for the 9 GSA Morgans, 1878 through 1891. We do have one that also was acquired in this purchase that was not in a GSA holder. I'm not sure if there are any for this date. Maybe there are. This is a PCGS 92cc, which is no slouch. Find in a 63 holder. It's a couple $1,000 coin. One of the older holders from the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s. Beautiful toning around the rim. Sharp and strong luster, nice cartwheel. So these all came from one gentleman, and it was quite a score. We've had a couple submissions come back, really nothing special. Nothing too exciting to talk about. We also got this back, and this was sent in once before, and it had some champagne tone surfaces which have now been restored. I guess restoration was the process, so yeah, restored, right? Enhanced, cleaned. I'm kidding, but I'm not. I'm sure it was, I'm sure it was dipped. And God knows what else goes into the restoration. But whatever they did, they now deemed that it warranted a straight grade. So it's like magic. The champagne toning before warranted a questionable color. Grade from PCGS. So this is obviously a proof. 1942 Walking Liberty $50. What do you think, huh? $65. You know, I thought it was a 6, but you got to wonder if, you know, the fact that they restored it, if that has any bearing on the grading process. They get 1% or 3% of the value of the coin after the restoration on top of the fee. So there is an inherent motivational factor for them to I want to show you another coin that was graded probably a year ago. I was looking at this one day, and speaking of VAMs, I've never really been into them. But I pulled it out and I said, for whatever reason, and the doubling just stood out so. Too bad the camera's just not going to pick it up, but there's clear and obvious doubling over that second 8. You see the outside of the bottom of the 8 to the right? If you go online and you go to VAM World, trying to hold my hand steady here. Also on the inner loop of the first 8, bottom, there are other pickup points on this. The 1, there's a shadowing of the over, it's essentially a double date. The date's doubled. And contemplating whether or not it would make sense to get that attributed, but thought that was interesting. Should get the light box out. Probably won't take long. Take a minute or two to set up. 1 second. No, I wasn't going to do this. Probably get a better look. I'm not so sure how it's going to work. The reverse has a wonderful look that I'm just really not capturing very well here. Definitely got a PL reverse, but not on the obverse, but the toning is nice. You can see under that toning on the rim, look at the date and the stars. You can see how it's been frosted over, but there once upon a time was probably some nice reflectivity going on the obverse too. But this coin has always been a favorite of mine, and I've had this coin for quite some time. It's just a 64, just a 78S, nothing special, but this coin has always been one of my favorites. Not really sure why, but I love that look. I just figured I would share it with you. Here's one that came back from a recent submission. Nice clean surfaces, a little bit of chatter above the eagle's head, right? By the motto, "In God we trust," but not a whole lot else. Good luster, clean. I thought it was a 65 when I submitted it. This was one of those INS coins, actually. And this one came back 65 plus. So I guess PCGS agreed and gave it a little bump up. Let's see what else we got here. We got some, we got our own little collection of first generation A&A slabs going on. Always been a big fan of these. I probably got 30 or 40 of them. Love the toning, love the look. This one is a 7/8 tail feather. Probably not going to capture it because of the light box and just the way that it's configured here. Take it out. If you look at the bottom of the eagle's feathers, especially that 4th or 5th one, right under there above the bow, you can see the protrusion. Nice coin. This is another one I've had forever. I think I've had it for 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I bought it in 2020. Very clean. Trying to capture the toning because it is really special. Sorry for the fingernails, guys. They'll be cut tonight. This has been one of my favorite coins for a long time. And, you know, would it grade that if you crossed it? I would never cross this coin. Never. Even if PCGS said I'm going to put it in a 68 holder. I do not touch the A&A 1st or 2nd generation slabs under any circumstance. I collect them, I maintain them, and I just really love them. So, interesting. I have 2 others graded 66 and a 67. That same date, that went back, that submission a few months back. Here's another one of those coins where you look at just the contact marks, and then you look at the grade, and you might first react by saying it's undergraded. So that should be a hint. This is an 87O, a better date. See the O under the bow. Pretty good eagle feathers, breast feathers for a New Orleans coin. This coin's famously softly struck. Beautiful toning. Wonderful looking coin all the way around, right? Not a lot of contact marks. Yeah, we only end up with a 62. It's got a good strike and it's got good luster, so I would say that this coin is at least a 3 by today's standards. Might even make a 4. But there's got to be a reason that Annex was tough on it. Really never been sure what that is. We have another 87.0. Similar look, a little less toning. A little more pronounced mint mark, a little sharper strike. Those feathers are struck up a little better, right? Look at that. Look at that breast. Almost looks like a Philadelphia strike, or a San Francisco strike even. Beautiful flowing luster. Clean surfaces. And a grade higher. If I put them side by side, this one's generation 1, generation 2. Tell by the lettering, green and blue. Fascinating. A couple more of these. This is another one of my favorites. Nice reflectivity there. Beautiful toning. Nice mirrors. Just a lovely coin. Absolutely beautiful. And certainly deserving of the proof like on this one. Accurately graded in my opinion. I think we got 3 more of these to look at. Here's an 89. Oh, gotcha. 89 New Orleans. Tough date. Much tougher than the 87.0. That mint mark is buried in that toning. Right above the DO and dollar. Mottled toning for sure. Full luster, not as well struck. Look at the eagle breast. The neck feathers are a little bit mushy. It's hard to see with all the toning though, isn't it? Definitely flatter though. Right? Almost no breast feathers at all. I think this might be, this or the 91.0 might be the weakest struck year for the Morgan Dollar New Orleans editions. And then we have another better date. Some chatter on the cheek, on the fields, in front of the face. We got reflective surfaces. Genie lamp. Genie lamp holder. Love the toning, even though it's modeled and not for everybody. I personally love it. And we got another PL, a 62 PL. Tough on this 91S to find the PLs. That's not one you see every day. And then one last ANA holder coin, this 1921 piece. This was a private purchase off the internet a couple of years ago from one of the guys I chat back and forth with on Instagram. I definitely probably overpaid for this. It was during the pandemic, but you don't see these 1921 piece dollars and these ANA holders come along every day, so I bought it primarily because of that. This one was graded pretty strictly. There's a gash on the cheek. I'm trying to make it pop. Right there in the middle of the cheek. But other than that, pretty nice coin. And Annex was pretty strict on it with a 61. I don't see it going any lower than 2 today. They hardly ever go lower than 62 on these nowadays. That's what I've noticed. So, all right, folks. With that note, that'll be the show and tell session for today. Just wanted to kind of re-break the ice since it's been a while since we've done a video. We do have the submission of world coins in the encapsulation stage at PCGS, so I expect those back in a week or 10 days. Do have a short vacation coming up next week, so we'll probably be tuned in somewhere around a weekend after next, so probably 2 weeks from today or thereabouts, and hopefully by then we'll have that world coin submission, which is, like I said, in the encapsulation stage. I'll show you, I think there's 29 world coins on that one, and yep, here it is here. So right there, the World Quarterly Special, 29 items encapsulation. So that'll be coming up. This one's still a few weeks away. This is the one that had all the crackouts from the INS holders. That 11 Barber half, the 2 Colombians, 92 and 93. The the AccuGrade and INS piece dollars, and then all these, that was an AccuGrade 79, and then these PL, DMPL, couple nickels thrown in for good luck. So thank you again, guys. It's been a long video, longer than I expected. Like, comment, subscribe, samscoinsandheavymetal.com. If you saw anything that you have a question on or might be interested in purchasing, some of this stuff will be available. You can reach us at samscoinsandheavymetal@gmail.com. You can find us on the net, samscoinsandheavymetal.com. On eBay under that name with underscores in between each word, Sam's _ coins _ and _ heavy _ metal. Thanks again. See you on the next one. Stay healthy. Don't get the flu. Have a good one.